According to Dallas News, America has 3.5 million more voters than we have eligible adult citizens. That's crazy. How can we have more voters than eligible voters? Well, those would be illegal voters. We've seen evidence of illegal voting all over the place, and including in Broward County. There were 600 voters in Broward County in the midterm elections that were age 104 or older. Are you telling me there's 600 people got up and went to the polls that are age 100 plus? I didn't even know there were 600 people in Broward County age 100 plus. We did an analysis of this with our friends at ASOG. They looked at the midterm elections, and we brought Adam Kraft back into the war room. You remember Adam Kraft. It's Major Adam Kraft. He served with distinction. He's a West Point grad. He was a part of the Defense Intelligence Agency. He came back and he shared with us some of the things that they were finding in the 2018 midterms. Adam, I know ASOG was hired and brought in to look at the results of the 2018 midterm election. Can you tell us a little bit about what you found?
There's a lot of smoke and there's some fire. We have a huge problem in this country. We know that at least 37 states have an issue with the elections. At the machine level, at the central server level, the companies that deal with the election. In the Department of Defense and in Congress, you have to disclose ownership of defense contracting stock. Why don't we do that with these companies that deal with our election?
That own the election machines that manufacture and sell them to the communities.
Right, anything that has to do with voting. Why don't we do that? When I had to fill out my OEG 450, my final promotion inside the intelligence community, I had to disclose things like that. Why don't we do that? It gets to the DNA of what these companies really are about.
Well, we know. We talked to a hacker who said absolutely an 11-year-old can hack a voting machine, so we know they're vulnerable. We don't see anyone fixing them. What does the intelligence community say when they look at the voting in the United States? Anything? Are they looking at it?
Well, look at what they're seeing outside. We had one country that I guess you could say U.S. persons were consulting with. They took all their voting machines out. They went back to paper ballots. Now, I can't name the country. You can figure out who did that, but there's a definite problem.
Did it work? Did it clean up things?
Well, they're on the way to do that, but they realize they have a lot more work to do because there are other issues that come with paper ballots. But at least you get rid of the electronic specter of all the crazy things that happen, especially at the central count.
I hear rumors that George Soros owns the voting machine companies.
Again, you have to look at the DNA of these companies. Everyone should know who's in it. We know who is part of Raytheon, who's part of L3, and who's part of Lockheed Martin, all the great defense companies that keep us safe, because we don't want profiteering. I know there's still an issue, and people go back to that, especially when the campaigns roll around, who's got stock in what. Why don't we make the same issue with these companies?
Are these companies big household names? Or are they people?
No, they're not. They're not. In fact, when we were first re-looking at the issue, doing the midterms, we had to educate ourselves on it. And we're the people to go to on this.
And if you didn't know it, the
Exactly.
average person has no idea who's making the machine that's counting their vote, determining who they voted for, and so forth. This is a serious problem.
Right, the level of obfuscation, you've got to gauge that. Then you have to ask yourself, why are they doing that? Then you have to say, what level of foreign involvement is there? What can we find out? Who's working on these machines? Who are the contractors? Are there dual citizens, which there shouldn't be any dual citizens? These are some of the things that we discovered that really bothered us, and it bothered the folks we had to report back to.
Well, my personal hope is that you just keep digging and that you uncover the truth. I know you're great at what you do, and I really appreciate you doing that effort. It's great for the American people.
Thank you. There are no coincidences. We have a huge problem. The country has a huge problem. So that means the world has a huge problem.